Well, hello. Thank you for coming along tonight, everyone who's here. Everyone else, I hope you enjoy the recording. So yeah, we're going through tonight just a bit of a webinar, how to lose weight and actually keep it off. So coming up, we're going to touch on a few things. So dieting and the diet cycle, then calorie intake, obviously quite important, exercise, and then we'll be covering a few other bases as well. So sleep, stress, and mindset too. So taking a bit of a different approach. We've done a few, I guess, seminars in the past, really focused on exactly what to eat and specific foods and food groups, but we're kind of, I guess, looking at the bigger, more holistic picture tonight. So hopefully that will be helpful. So I'm sure most of you know me, but if you don't, I'm Alex. So I'm an accredited practicing dietitian and nutritionist. So coming from a background in clinical work, so hospital work, but also sports, and then some interests in women's health and gut health as well. So just to start with, bit of an introduction. So yes, as I mentioned, there's going to be slightly less of a focus on food in this webinar. We're going to have a look at sort of the broader, multifaceted approach to weight loss, because unfortunately, which I know nobody likes to hear, there is no quick fix or miracle diet or pill when it comes to weight loss. We like to take more of a slow and steady approach and make sure that it's sustainable and can be maintained long term as well. So that's where combining your nutrition and your lifestyle together comes in, and also focusing on, like we do here at Kinetic, those long-term habits and goals, and really making solid changes to your behaviors and your habits to make sure that you can achieve what you're after, but also just live an overall healthy, balanced life as well. So dieting to start with. Why diets don't work. You may or may not have heard this before, probably from me, but yeah, it's not you, it's the diet. So it's been proven that diets just do not work. Most people that go on diets, try fad diets, sure, you probably lose some weight, keep it off for a while, but it's not usually sustainable in the long run, and more often than not, all the weight plus more ends up coming back on. So why don't diets work? Effectively, they are a calorie deficit with no end in sight. So if you put yourself on a diet, you're sort of jumping in, it's an all or nothing approach. You're usually cutting out food groups, whether it's carbs, fats, you're creating rules around foods, you're cutting out sugar or fruit, or you're just removing large portions of your diet to put yourself in that calorie deficit, which unfortunately it doesn't work. You can only remove foods or avoid foods for so long before you crave them and I guess give in and go back to the way of eating that you were doing previously. So that's why when it comes to dieting, it's not effective to stay in that kind of weight loss phase for a really extended period of time. Along with that as well can come feelings of, I guess, guilt and shame if you fall off the diet or break your diet or eat something that you weren't meant to, which it's normal to feel that way, but it's not normal to be on a diet and have those food rules. So it's important to find a bit of a balance there. And the other thing with diets as well is that they can end up lacking in nutrients too. So if you're cutting out carbs, you're cutting out fiber and B vitamins and a whole host of nutrients that are really good for you and really beneficial. And then suddenly they're not there and your body's not getting them anymore. So of course you're going to crave foods that contain those nutrients as well, or the foods that you're trying to avoid. So yes, diets don't work. They're not sustainable long term, and you won't find us recommending any sort of fad diet or anything here. So this is a bit more of a, I guess, visual representation of the diet cycle and kind of what happens when you're dieting. So you'll start the diet and go through that period of restriction, whatever that may be in for that particular diet. So you're restricting your foods, then you start to feel deprived, whether that be just of your favorite foods or certain nutrients and food groups like I touched on. You start getting those cravings, your body needs energy, you're looking for the foods that you're missing out on. You end up then breaking those diet rules, and that's when that guilt feeling comes in. You feel bad about yourself, you feel like you failed, so you start a new diet and it happens all over again. So we really want to try and break that cycle. And that's where working with a team and a dietitian can obviously really help as well, just to break down those barriers and provide some education around, what to eat without putting yourself on a diet. So touch now on calorie intake and nutrition overall. So kind of the general principles of weight loss are a very basic level, calories in versus calories out. So if you're eating less than what your body needs, naturally it makes sense that you'll lose weight. If you're eating more calories than what you need, then the opposite happens. We talk about weight gain. So generally, when we're looking at weight loss, we want to choose nutrient-dense foods over energy-dense foods. So what I mean by that is your fruit and veg, your whole grains, those high fiber carbohydrates, your lean proteins, and your healthy fats, all really, really dense in nutrients. So you can have a huge salad, a couple of pieces of fruit, have your rice and your bread, heaps of nutrition in there and quite a lot of volume to help fill you up, fill your stomach up, keep you feeling good throughout the whole day, rather than those energy dense foods, which are things like, donuts or chocolate or really fatty cuts of steak or something like that. Heaps of energy in them, lots of calories, not as much volume. So it's not actually going to fill your stomach up and keep you feeling satisfied. It's not to say you can't have those foods. It's just that when we're talking weight loss and focusing on, just a healthy, balanced diet, we want to prioritize those nutrient-dense foods first and then save the other foods just for on occasions. All right, the other thing to think about is portion sizes. So getting your portion sizing right and getting, the makeup of your plate right as well. So again, prioritizing those nutrient-dense foods. So filling half your plate with salad or veggies, make sure there's lots of fiber in there, lots of volume to fill you up. And then you have your protein source as well, obviously, which is going to help with maintaining your muscle mass. And then some of those whole grain carbohydrates too, to give you some energy there as well. So finding the right balance is important, rather than, most people would have half their plate with a huge steak on it and then maybe heaps of, potato as well and nothing else, or just sort of a few veggies on the side as a bit of an afterthought. So we really want to try and prioritize that veg. And then, yes, get the protein and carbs in as well. So yeah, in theory, quite simple if you look at it as just kind of that calories in, calories out approach. But we do know that there's a lot of other factors that influence, I guess, weight loss to begin with, but then also maintaining it and keeping it off in the long run. So I just want to touch on now kind of this idea of, are you actually hungry? So this is what we call the hunger fullness scale. It's a tool that you can use just before, you know, you have a meal or a snack, just to check in with yourself and understand if you are in fact hungry. So a lot of the times, maybe you're eating out of stress or boredom, or you're dehydrated. A lot of the time you probably are hungry too, which is great. Definitely have something to eat. But sometimes it's good to just, you know, understand if you're eating out of habit or if you truly do need that food at the time. So yeah, pretty self-explanatory. A 1 is, you know, absolutely starving, feeling faint, need food probably half an hour ago. And then 10 is like after Christmas dinner, you need a nap, you're tired, you're really full, bloated, potentially a bit of stomach pain. So you kind of want to try and sit around that sweet spot, that kind of 4, 5, 6, maybe 7, and not let yourself drop down kind of below a 3, because that's when, you know, your blood sugars crash, your energy levels are down, and you'll go searching for those really sugary, quick energy foods. You know, I'm sure we've all done it. You maybe forget to eat lunch, you're busy at work, you come home at 5, 6 p.m, open the pantry and just eat everything in sight. And nothing fills you up. You just constantly feel hungry throughout the night. So we want to try and avoid that and keep ourselves sitting, yeah, kind of around that 4 to 7 mark most of the time. So that's just something to keep in mind. The other thing is, yeah, I guess real life. Like, I understand we need to be realistic, and a lot of the time food is more than just energy and nutrition, and I think sometimes we forget that. And you know, you'll put yourself on a diet and maybe you can do it for 3 or 4 weeks when you don't have any events on or whatever, but then your birthday comes up, you know, Christmas is coming up, and a lot of the time these events are associated with food, which is great. We associate food with yeah, memories and enjoyment and everything like that. So I guess that's when that kind of scale comes in as well. So sometimes you will find that you're eating when you're not truly hungry, and at times that's okay. You know, maybe you're going out and you know that you won't be able to eat later, so you have an extra snack before you go or something, and you push yourself up a bit in that hunger scale, and that's fine. Maybe you're just craving something, you know, you feel like an ice cream after dinner, so you have it. Great, that's fine too. A lot of social functions obviously are revolving around eating and drinking and, you know, feeling happy, and especially coming out of lockdown, you want to see your friends, and often that is done over, you know, dinner and some wine or whatever. So we need to be realistic about it, and it's just about making the best choices you can at the time. And, you know, if you're nailing your diet pretty much all throughout the day, it doesn't matter if on a Friday night you go out with your mates. You know, it's kind of that 80-20 rule comes in. 80% smashing it, having your veggies, getting your fruit in, and then you let yourself have that enjoyment and have that fun around food the other 20% of the time as well. So yeah, it's important, I guess, to just check in with yourself, check in with why you're eating. Are you bored? Are you emotional? How often is it happening? Or are you truly hungry? And just working through to find the right balance with that as well. So now coming into kind of movement and exercise, obviously nutrition is more my domain. Tom and Sean and Sarah take care of the exercise side of things, but they all do play a role all together. So energy expenditure and metabolism. I have spoken about this in the past if you were at my other seminar. So we want to increase your NEAT, or your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which is just all the movement you do throughout the day. So whether it's, you know, getting up from your desk, doing housework, going for a walk, whatever, increasing that kind of NEAT movement will really help to push up your energy expenditure. And that can help with weight loss as well. So just more of that kind of incidental exercise, I guess. The other thing as well, the sort of main player in changing your metabolism is your muscle mass. So I'm sure you've heard people say muscle weighs more than fat, which is not exactly correct, but muscle is more dense than fat. So the more muscle you have, the leaner you're going to look, or, you know, your body is going to look different. Your weight might not necessarily change, but your body will look different. And it's that muscle mass that we really want to try and prioritize, because the more muscle you have, the more energy your body needs to keep that muscle alive while you're just, you know, sitting on the couch, pretty much. So if you can nail your nutrition and, you know, work around your training and fueling properly for your gym sessions, and then recovering well, we'll be able to increase that muscle mass, you bump up your metabolism. And I guess the ultimate goal here is to actually be able to eat more rather than eat less. So we want you to be eating more calories and be able to actually eat more food, rather than constantly being in that restrictive cycle and trying to remove as many foods from your diet as possible. Alrighty, so the next fairly important factor in both your nutrition, your training life, I guess, is sleep. So it's about quality and also quantity as well. So from a nutrition point of view, poor sleep is going to interrupt your hormones. So there's two main hormones, leptin and ghrelin. So leptin is that satiety, feeling full hormone. So it lets you know that you've eaten enough and you're feeling satisfied. Ghrelin is that hunger hormone, so that stomach rumbling, give me food, I'm hungry. If you sleep poorly, often leptin can decrease and then your ghrelin can increase. So you're feeling more hungry and your body is less able to tell you when you're full as well. So prioritizing sleep will have obviously an effect on your energy levels and then on those hormones as well. So you want to try and make sure that you're resting and recovering. Poor sleep can lead to you craving more energy from food, and that's when you'll often find yourself reaching for those energy dense, really high sugar foods just to try and give you a boost and keep you awake throughout the day. The other thing it can do as well is you could maybe end up having 2, 3, 4 coffees throughout the day to try and keep you awake too. And those coffees replace your meals or suppress your appetite a little bit, and you end up eating less, and then that kind of catches up with you at the end of the day as well. Poor sleep can also mean, you're tired, you're less inclined to exercise. So that NEAT and that muscle that we're trying to build to boost that metabolism can, start to drop off as well. Also plays an effect on your mood, which can also impact your food choices as well. So if you're, feeling really sad or angry because you haven't slept well, maybe you're irritable, you sort of think, whatever, I don't care. I'm just going to eat whatever I want, do whatever I want. So yes, from that point of view as well. And then obviously less time for your muscles to rest and repair and grow too, which is pretty important in that muscle building process as well. So now just to touch on stress, which can play quite a large role in weight loss as well. So probably all heard of cortisol, that kind of stress hormone in the body. So cortisol is actually important in regulating the energy levels in your body as well, and keeping them nice and steady. So it's normal to have a level or an amount of cortisol in your body at all times. So cortisol doesn't just respond to emotional stress. It can just be, your daily activities, kind of that fight or flight response. But then cortisol responds to exercise as well. And then obviously acute stress, like if you find yourself in a tough situation too. So how it works is something stresses the body, whether it's an event or it's exercise. Cortisol is released, and then your body releases glucose or energy as well. So I guess that's where that fight or flight comes in. Cortisol is released because you are potentially in a dangerous situation, and then your body gives you energy to either run away or respond. Okay, so when that energy, that glucose is released into your body, at the same time, insulin is decreased. So insulin is a hormone in your blood that draws the energy from your food that you've eaten into your cells so that you can use it. That insulin drops down, so that glucose is, kind of staying in your blood, circulating throughout your body. And that glucose is used for energy immediately. It's not stored, okay? So then you resolve that stress, whatever it may be, and your hormones kind of balance out again. The thing is with chronic stress or a chronically high level of cortisol, that glucose insulin response is constantly disrupted. So it can mean that all that glucose and that energy isn't actually being used by the body. It's not being taken into your cells and used for energy. It's kind of sitting there. It's being stored as fat potentially. And that's going to play a role in weight loss. So the other thing that kind of chronic cortisol stress level can do is suppress your leptin as well. So that hormone that we just spoke about, that sort of fullness hormone too. So it can mean that if you're stressed or have that stress response in your body all the time, your appetite isn't as regular as it should be as well, and you just can't fill up. So you end up eating more too. So what else have I got there? Higher during, so cortisol will also be higher during stress-related eating or binge eating. So there was a study done and they found that people who were experiencing that, emotional response to eating or using food as kind of a tool to cope, cortisol was chronically higher in their bodies as well. So just something to think about and something to, bring up with a health professional, whether it's me or one of the team or a doctor, if that's something that you need to address as well. The next thing is mindset. So we need to look at as well, kind of reframing your thoughts around food and your relationship with food too. So we want to try to start seeing food and exercise not as something that you do to punish your body or don't restrict food as a punishment, or if you eat something that you think is quote unquote bad, you don't then go and over exercise and kind of use that exercise as a punishment. So really the ultimate aim is to just enjoy a healthy balance of both food and exercise for your mental health as well, or strength goals, or just for enjoyment too, as well as your health. Okay. So it's kind of about giving yourself permission to just eat all foods. And you'll probably find by doing that your cravings, if you're experiencing them, decrease as well. So, if I told you, like, don't think about a tree, you're probably going to think about a tree. And it's the same principle with dieting. If I tell you you can't eat pasta, all you're going to think about is pasta, because you can't have it. So you're going to want it and you're going to crave it. So you'll find if you just give yourself permission to just include all foods in your diet, kind of that novelty effect of the food wears off a bit, and you'll find that you're not constantly thinking about it and wanting it all the time as well. The next important thing too is, I guess, just to take things one meal at a time. So if you're working on implementing changes and making changes to your diet, and you have great, really healthy, fantastic lunch, and then you have something that you deem not as healthy for dinner, don't kind of throw your hands up and say, right, that's me done. What's the point? Diet's out the window. I've already ruined my eating pattern, so I may as well just eat whatever I want. Just take things one meal at a time, and just focus on breakfast. What's the best choice you can make for this breakfast meal? So can you add in some fruit? Great. Your eating doesn't have to be perfect. It's just about taking it one meal at a time and looking at small changes that you can make that's going to be relevant to each meal and each situation that you're in as well. Because, as I mentioned, life gets in the way. If you're out at work or something, or you're out on the weekend and you're feeling really hungry and there's nothing around, say you're driving and the only thing near you is Macca's, so what? You just have it. That's the best option there available at the time, and it's better than skipping a meal. But then once you get home, you go back to that, making sure that you're prioritizing your plate full of veggies and those kind of things as well. So the other thing potentially too is just to move away completely from aesthetic goals. So absolutely, weight loss could still be something that you ultimately want to achieve, but to get there, can we instead focus on lifting a certain weight in the gym, or building muscle, or including 2 serves of fruit a day instead of none? Or are there other small goals and small changes that we can make that potentially will ultimately lead to weight loss, but will also be easier and I guess better for you long term? Because say you want to lose 5 kilos, what happens once you get there? Does all your motivation to exercise and eat well just completely fall away because you hit that target? Or can you see the benefits? Are you sleeping better? Have you reached your 100-kilo deadlift goal? Can you keep pushing yourself in other areas rather than just focusing on weight loss? Alrighty. So hopefully that was all helpful and made sense. If you have any questions, feel free to unmute and ask away. Otherwise, if it's something a bit more personal, you can email me as well. But thanks guys for coming along. And yes, if you have any questions, now's the time.
Thanks, Al. Good stuff.
No worries.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. That was good. A refresher for me in many ways. I think my weakest point right now is there's a couple. One is sleep. I've had that problem for years, so I'm constantly battling having a good sleep. So that's something I'm not sure. It's going to take a lot of different things to fix it. I've already got myself a good pillow, so there's a good start.
Great start.
The other thing was the mental. It's the mental battle for me right now. It's a challenge. I think COVID lockdowns and everything changed. No, it didn't change me. I changed because of the lockdowns. I think some of my habits went the other way, and now coming back is really difficult. You know, if there's a chocolate in the cupboard, I'll grab it. If there's a bag of chips, I won't have one. I'll have the whole bag. I gravitate towards sweet and salty quite a lot now, and it's something and Lily bakes. That was COVID induced as well. She started baking a lot. So I'm eating a lot of that stuff as well. So I think I need to do something there, and that's the hardest thing.
Yeah, it can be tough. I mean, you're definitely not alone there. And COVID, absolutely had that effect on a lot of people, because it was and still is a stressful time, and you couldn't go out or kind of do the other things that you enjoy doing for fun. So a lot of the time food kind of just has become a comfort. But definitely the first step is identifying what you want to change, and then just reaching out to us, and we can help support that like we've done for you before, and we can get back to where we were. Absolutely.
Yep. Thanks.
Hi, Mike. Hi, Alex. It's Mike here.
How you going?
Good, thanks. One thing I struggle with is when you get in a little bit of a rhythm and start eating healthily and exercising, and then my appetite goes to the roof, and I'll just get to one point where I've just got to eat, and I'll just grab whatever and just keep going and not stop.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely can happen. I mean, if you're exercising more, it's natural that your body is going to want more food because you're burning more energy, and you're probably also building muscle at the same time as well. So I guess it's about, one, understanding that you may actually need more calories and more energy than you were having before. So you might want to add in just like an extra snack or something throughout the day. The other thing is to make sure you're eating regularly, and then make sure, like I mentioned, you're kind of filling your plate up with heaps of veggies, and then your low GI carbs, so like your rice, pasta, whole grain bread, that kind of thing. And then making sure you get a good source of protein in too. And all those things combined should help to keep you feeling full for at least a few hours. But it's normal to have 3 meals and then 2 or 3 snacks throughout the day as well. So if you're exercising and you're hungry, don't feel like you only have to have 3 meals. You can definitely eat more than that if you need it.
Sure. Okay.
Did anyone else have any questions? If not, as I said, feel free to email me as well, and we can chat there.
Cool. Thanks, Alex.
All right. Thanks for coming, everyone. And yes, we'll keep you updated. We'll run some other topics coming up soon about gaining muscle and all those kinds of things. So keep an eye out for those. Otherwise, have a good night. And we will all catch up soon, I'm sure.